Hi guys, this is Andre. Welcome to today's Marketing Innovation Podcast. Today on the podcast with us we have Roland as well, as usual. So today we'll discuss one of the subjects that is many times brought up by businesses trying to establish their first marketing strategy or trying to figure out their marketing budget. And that is how to market a small business this year in a cost-efficient way and, kind of like growing fast and making the most that you can with your present marketing budget. Let's get to it. Okay, so in a business world where small and medium enterprises are taking up a greater market share with every financial quarter, the competition today seems to be, more fierce than ever cross sectors. So it's something that is valid everywhere. Now, on the other hand, as a small and medium enterprise, marketing budgets are usually very limited, and that's also a case of bigger companies, but obviously you can feel it more if you are part of an SME. So carrying an open fight with for your customers' attention with these big competitors and big companies might seem like a very, very hard thing to do, almost an impossible battle to win. However, there are a couple of ways in which you can use your size to your advantage and actually use digital marketing and marketing tools in general to gain new customers fast. So stick around. Below are some of our tactics and opportunities that we see in technology today to integrate in marketing, and we'll discuss all of them in detail so you can get a better understanding of what's right for you and how to make the most with your present marketing budgets.
Cool. So me being more on the tech side, I will ask you more questions about the science behind marketing in some of the strategies so we can get like a better perspective on it. I will start with the first one. So before applying new technologies, what do you think would be the most important thing to get right?
So obviously, before rushing into doing 100 different things, I think that one of the best things and most important things to do is knowing your core target market. So you maybe have a vision upon your ideal customers, but not explore that in enough depth. Make sure that you do that. So make sure you develop a customer persona. We were discussing about this in our latest article on marketing to millennials. And even if it sounds basic for most marketeers, this is actually the best point to start, because knowing exactly where your customers consume media and their behaviors and their language and so on is going to be very useful for you to make sure that you choose the right channels to push messages to them, as well as you understand the way that in which they consume and purchase your products or services. So once you know this, the second bit would be find the most profitable services from your offering to sell to this specific target segment. If you are, as most businesses, you probably have more products that you incorporate in your offering as well as services. But ultimately what you want to do, at least in the beginning, when you probably want to get your cash flow right in the first place and try to roll some money, to say so get some money in your business, sell the products which have the best profit margin after withdrawing fixed and flexible costs. So flexible costs also include marketing. What you want to do is make sure that these products that you push represent the highest value for your prospect customers, and you can add a good margin on them as well in order to start to recoup some of the costs in startup, let's say. So in these situations, the products or services you push through the initial communication system, which we'll discuss in a bit, have to be easy to sell. So the cost per conversion is kept as low as possible, and usually this includes marketing. So the cost of marketing for selling one unit of this product is not too high. It's a demand already in your target market at this point. So you are coming as a supplier, but you don't have to build the demand as well. This is a challenge that many businesses encounter, because for example, if you enter a very competitive market, the demand is there, but it's kind of saturated. So you kind of like try to build some demand to sell products. No, you have to go into, kind of with a product for which it's already a demand, and that's not being fulfilled or over fulfilled at the moment. And then again, making sure that the profit margin in the end, after reducing all those kind of costs from the price, is healthy. So you earn the most that you can on your actions and your money.
Cool, super interesting. I actually remember that we were discussing something like this on our last episode, about choosing the right channels, and we promised also that we'll get a bit deeper into the subject on a future podcast. So I think this would be a nice opportunity to transit into this. What are the best channels? What are the best channels for a business with a limited budget, in your opinion?
Yeah, super good question. Let's get to this. So I think that most importantly, we should look at digital versus offline. The general trend, and now obviously this might sound a bit biased from coming from us, but we are big believers that digital is the way to go, mainly if you are a small business, because offline, if you are a small business, you can only do some stuff like maybe a bit of guerrilla marketing, but not very advanced, maybe a bit of flyering or posters or door-to-door, promotions. Or maybe if you have a bit of a higher budget, you can go into some print advertising for, like one of the cost-effective ones is the toilet advertising, which funny, but it's quite cost-effective, and mainly if you are in that niche of drinks or services, funny stuff that can be consumed while in the toilet in your local pub, then that's a good way to go. But generally, there's not much opportunity for small businesses to advertise offline. So we tend to advise to go digital because, for a couple of reasons actually. Firstly, digital allows you for highly targeted actions, which means that you only target the people that you are mostly interested in communicating with, at least in the beginning when you don't have much money. Then this is very cost effective. Many times you pay only for the people who interacted with your advertising one way or the other. So for example, pay-per-click advertising or, advertising through social media, when you only pay when people interact with your ad, like see your ad or click your ad or click through your ad, so on. And given this way of interaction, now digital marketing is very accountable and also easy to adjust on a broad scale at once if needed. So take the example of you running a social media campaign, let's say, a simple example, but you run this in, let's say, 3 cities at the same time. And you notice, because you have a real-time, almost real-time reporting, that a certain type of message or a certain alteration might increase your results. You are able to do that from a single interface or communicating with a single agency that does this for you. And to change that and optimize that almost real-time in all your locales. So that requires very little energy for very increased results. You can also automate for the channel specific campaigns. Obviously, the vision is to create a system like an engine that works around your customer, but at the same time, many of these things probably you won't have money in the beginning if you are a very small business to implement, but you should choose to go on at least a few channels, and many of the things that you do digitally can be automated around your customer journey. So to create like a small marketing engine that you can grow from there. But using a CRM will help if you are a service provider or a B2B company. Also, if you are an e-commerce, using a CRM can help you implement some automation around email and retargeted ads. So it's a lot of opportunity there. And actually, let me go back into building this engine on your customer behavior and your specific customer characteristics. What you have to have in mind is that ultimately you want to drive conversion, and to drive that, your communications have to be all personalized and automated to as much of a degree as possible. And in order to do this, you have to know the specific interactions of your customers with your messages. And actually, regarding this, we'll go a bit more in depth on this concept as we progress with this article as well as the next one, because it's a really, really deep subject. But in short, the most effective way of doing this is by following the AIDA model for your audience. So AIDA is a classic advertising framework, let's say. So it's based on the concept of building awareness through communications, and only then go into the engagement, and only then kind of build attention and desire from your customers by this engagement, and only then try to drive conversions, but not go for conversions, let's say, in the beginning when nobody heard about you, because that's not going to happen and you're going to waste a lot of money basically.
Yeah, I feel that we established like a very concrete picture of why going digital is the way to go. And the next natural question here would be, okay, so there are so many digital marketing channels, right? How do I know which one should I choose for my business? Can you tell me more about this?
Yeah, sure. So again, a great question. And I'm gonna talk a lot.
Damn, these questions. So on point.
Yes, for sure. No, but yeah, tell me if I'm speaking too much, but yeah, I'll try to answer this as good as possible. So let's try to put it simple and kind of like build it in such a way that is applicable to all of our listeners, no matter whether you guys have like a service-based or product-based business. I would say that the first thing to do is look into your ideal customer persona again and see where they consume the most media and advertising online, on which devices and at which times. Because if you know these things, then you'll be able to only communicate with them through these channels that they actually consume at the times that they consume media. So this way you won't waste any money and you're gonna raise the effectiveness of your communications. If you can just write this down individually, so for example for Facebook, when they consume on which device, for Instagram, do they consume, if so, on which device, email, and so on and so forth. Make a list of this and keep it at hand. That's the first point. And then map all these marketing channels through the AIDA model. So what I mean is, so AIDA stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. What you want to do is every time you reach a new customer, try to have the system in place so that your marketing, your campaigns communicate with them to drive them through this process. So for example, you know that for building, let's say, awareness, the most effective channel might be Facebook, but then for engagement it might be website, Facebook, and email. And then to build the desire, maybe you can use email for some promotions or some retargeted ads on some platforms, and then like, or even your website with push notifications or pop-up banners, and then only then try to drive conversion. But try to map on the mediums that you found your customers consume media. Try to write next to each of them which stage of the AIDA model that would fit in. And now that you have this view, try to think about how you can implement this around their classic way of interacting with the brand. So think about, okay, how is a usual customer of mine discovering me, and what are they looking to find when they look for my products, and then try to map these communications around that. Now, a concept that is very important here is the concept of integrated marketing communications, which means having campaigns deployed on multiple channels, acting as a system rather than only one campaign, that are meant to target your customers on different channels while they are in a different mindset all the time, psychologically speaking. So that would be, you know, your customer life cycle journey, but also is gonna be important for you as a brand to think about their state and their mindset when they discover your messages on multiple platforms, because they interact with different platforms differently. They would have a different mindset on Facebook, let's say, than on Google, than on email. So does it make sense?
Yeah, totally got it, man. Like marketing in 2018, it's all about digital. That's so clear for us. And spending money on physical marketing is not a return on investment anymore. It's just bad. It's been like so dense. Everything we've discussed it in this one. How do you sum up everything in like an essence?
Yeah. So I know it's a lot of information. Basically, offline it's still okay, it has its place, but if you have a very reduced marketing budget, you can invest it better, let's say, in the beginning. But in essence, just keep in mind that your customer navigates different platforms with different intents of buying and in completely different states of mind. So you can communicate, as I just said, on email as you do on Facebook, etc. So try to create a roadmap of communications first, and then choose the right channels to push messages for each stage of the communication. And in order to make your communications effective, choose at least one digital marketing channel to communicate with your audience on each of the AIDA stages. So attention, interest, desire, and action. And that is because you want to carry them through this process, and you can't really jump any of these stages if you want your communications to be effective. And we have seen, kind of like, look at the big brands or even like the smaller ones. All of them have a system. For example, if you land on a website and then you see an ad on Facebook and then you receive an email, obviously now in Europe with GDPR it's a bit different, which is not necessarily bad, from a customer perspective. But just try to keep in mind that it's your duty as a brand to carry your new prospective customers through this journey, and to do it effectively and efficiently, you have to, keep in mind that you have to have an integrated approach to your marketing strategy. Okay, so let's wrap it up. I think it was a lot of information. Obviously, I would really like to get a bit even deeper into this subject, Roland, if you're okay, maybe in one of the next episodes. But kind of like that psychological way, like thinking about communications and where customers are psychologically positioned when they search on the internet or mobile, etc. It's a really interesting point, and I think that many people could get a good insight into improving their communications if we detail a bit more on that. But that's a very deep subject. Maybe we can do an episode on that as well at some point.
Sure, for sure. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Completely down to it.
Super. But yeah, I mean, just wrapping it up, I think that marketing is getting more intelligent every day, and Roland, we are discussing about this all the time, like in our articles or in the podcast. And no matter the size of your business, actually, you will need it in front of your you will need it in order to get in front of your customers. So even if your monthly budget is below £1,000 or 5,000 at the moment, use these things that we discussed today and try to map out the best ways in which you can reach your customers, and not just push messages at them, but rather try to carry them through the journey, let's say. So track the interaction with your brand, measure and identify accordingly, and you'll be on the right track. And don't worry, like usually if you market intelligently, you'll get always a very big return on your budget. So even if you don't really have money, try to make an effort and put a bit more money maybe next month into your marketing, but make sure it's optimized, and then you'll see that the result is going to be amazing. We saw this with every client that we had. So don't be afraid, but just make sure you act smart. And if you have any questions, again, you know where to find us. Write us on social media or at hello@marketiu.com, and we'll always come back to you and help you on your journey.
Make it.
Good stuff.
Until next time. Okay.
Go.
No, ask everyone.
Okay.
Until next time, bye.
Okay, good stuff. So, Roland, thank you very much for being with us again today. It was a pleasure as always.
Man, I'm always down to this kind of podcasts. You are super lit.
Good stuff. And guys, looking forward to your thoughts. If you have any questions, told you, just write us. If you have any suggestions of content that you'd like us to produce, let us know, and we'll be happy to incorporate that in the calendar. And until next time, hopefully this was interesting and useful for you, and wishing you the best of luck. Keep up the good work.